This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe Birthday Boy. And I know that this birthday boy is deceased, but this guy from May 10th was amazing. He's a caster icon. And he played in the NFL too, so it wasn't just that he was a sportscaster of great taste of golf and tennis and football. He was in the NFL himself. He's kind of like Tony Romo in a sense. But unlike Romo, he was a play-by-play announcer. The legendary guy that is Pat Summerall, who was born May 10th, 1930 in Lake City, Florida. He would play at high school, playing football, tennis, baseball, and basketball. He actually liked basketball more, but he went to play college football and went to my favorite university, the University of Arkansas. Pig Sue! Had to say it. Anyway, from 49 to 51, he was with the Razorbacks playing defensive end, tight end, and kicker. He even majored in Russian history in 1953 at the era where the Cold War was not as hot as it was. Well, that was the 1960s. Regardless, he was a place kicker. In 1952, he was drafted in the fourth round by the Detroit Lions to be a kicker and a defensive player. Unfortunately, he broke his arm, which ended the year for him, which was weird because he was a kicker. I don't know what an arm would do to him. Although he did play defensive line sometimes, so he also was there too at times. So he didn't really play for Detroit. Funny thing was, the 52 Lions were the NFL champions, and he didn't play a game for them. He would then be traded to the Chicago Cardinals before the Cardinals went to Arizona, by way of St. Louis. But anyway, he played for the Cardinals from 53 to 57. And then after that, he played for the Giants from 1958 to 1961. His best year professionally was 1959 when he went 30 for 30 on extra points, back when the extra point was at the 2 yard line, and 20 for 29 field goal kicking at 69%. But Pat Summerall will be memorable for playing in the greatest game ever played, wherein the Giants and Colts went into that overtime thriller, the first major overtime thriller in NFL history. And because there weren't too many TV stations back in 1958 and not much competition, all that, there were a lot of interest in that game between the Giants and Colts. Colts won that game, by the way. However, the 1958 regular season finale was his most professional moment between the Giants and Cleveland at Yankee Stadium when the Giants were playing at Yankee Stadium. Cleveland was in first place in the Eastern Conference, holding a lead over the Giants. Anyway, the Giants would have to win to force a tiebreaker game to play in the conference, to play in the NFL title. So anyway, the Giants and Browns were tied 10-10. The Browns needed a tie to clinch the East because overtime didn't happen. Summerall went for a 49-yard field goal. And in those days, a 49-yarder was definitely not a gimme. So basically, Summerall was no Justin Tucker. There was actually swirling winds and snow, too, at Yankee Stadium. Summerall, straight ahead kicker, like everyone did. Like they kicked straight ahead and not soccer style, like swerving to the left or right. Made the field goal with 2 minutes to play, kept the Giants alive. And the Giants would face the Browns in a one-game playoff to decide who would face Baltimore for the NFL crown, which the Giants won, but lost the title game the next week. So yeah, that field goal was huge and all that. People forget that Steve Myra actually had a key field goal for the Colts in the fifth greatest game ever played. All the way. So anyway, Vince Lombardi, who was the Giants' offensive line coach, said that he didn't want to send Summerall in for a field goal because he missed a 31-yard attempt earlier, but he made it. The major story made Sports Illustrated with the football heading between uprights through the snow. So in 1961, in the NFL title game at Lambeau Field, that was his last game, and the Packers beat the tar out of the Giants 37-0. So anyway, in his career, he played 2 games for the Lions. Then he kicked for the Cardinals and the Giants. He was 100 for 212 in field goals, so 47%. Extra points, 97%, but almost automatic. In the postseason, he was 5 for 5 in the postseason on field goals and 4 for 4 on extra points. Amazing. So then he became the morning host of WCBS radio in New York City. He would leave the job when the station went all news in 65. He also would co-host the syndicated NFL film series A Week in Pro Football in the late 60s and early 70s, and had a production company in Dallas. So anyway, there were rumors circulating that Summerall was going to be the Cardinals' new radio voice, but they went with Jack Buck instead. So after retiring from football, Summerall was hired by CBS in 1962 to be a color commentator. I would pair him with Chris Schenkel, who was a pretty good announcer. Anyway, Summerall in 1968 would ascend to the network's lead national crew, pairing with Jack Buck and then Ray Scott. So anyway, Summerall actually was part of the trophy presentation presenting Green Bay with the first ever Super Bowl in 1967. Summerall took part in NBC's coverage of Super Bowl III. NBC would use him for an NFL perspective on the coverage. Anyway, yeah, there was movement and all that. So he was a good color commentator, but midway through the 74 season, he actually ended up being a play-by-play guy, making him with Tom Brookshire. And they would work 3 Super Bowls, Super Bowl 10, 12, and 14 together, when the Super Bowl was just CBS or NBC. No third network was there. So anyway, Summerall would actually be with Brookshire and a few other people in the movie Black Sunday in 1977, which was shot on location during Super Bowl 10. Of course, Brookshire had some unprofessional conduct, and there was a lot of things about Summerall being drunk sometimes on air with Brookshire. Nevertheless, Summerall in 1981 would be paired up with a bright new face for NFL football by the name of John Madden, former coach of the Raiders. This would last for 22 seasons on 2 networks and one of the most well-known partnerships in television sportscasting history. Think of it as the 80s and 90s version of Nance and Romo. Anyway, Summerall was opposed, but they wanted more excitement in the booth. And they were paired on CBS. They would call Super Bowl 16, 18, 21, 24, and 26 together. Anyway, in contrast to John Madden's verbose persona, Summerall was the traditionally minimalist delivery processor. He usually called it a Joe Montana, Jerry Rice touchdown pass as simple as that. Montana, Rice, touchdown. Just like that. Of course, his last game alongside Madden for CBS was the 93 NFC title game. It saw Dallas beat San Francisco to go to the Super Bowl 28. However, Madden and Summerall were not split up. They both went to box. Who got the NFC package in 94? All that. But before that, talk about Pat Summerall for CBS broadcasting the PGA Tour. He was man for the Masters tournament. He was there for the U.S. Open of tennis, if you remember the 1970s and all that. He even was a play-by-play announcer for the 74 NBA Finals. So anyway, Summerall would be on the 18th hole, replacing Finn Scully, who left for NBC. So he anchored the coverage at hole 18 from 1968 onwards, and in 83 he was part of the tower role. His partner would be Ken Venturi. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, Summerall did some stuff and all that. Yeah, he would broadcast the U.S. Open for 25 years, which was amazing and all of that. So anyway, his last on-air assignment for CBS was the 94 Masters Tournament, of course, because he was moving to Fox. He signed off the broadcast thus. So, on behalf of our entire broadcast group, for the last time, I'm Pat Summerall saying, so long. Thanks, guys. I'll miss you. So, regardless, Fox shocked a lot of people by getting the NFC broadcast package and knocking CBS out of broadcasting football for 4 years before '98. CBS taking care of NBC for the AFC package. Of course, Fox wanted to hire Summerall and Madden, and they called 3 Super Bowls together on Fox: 31, 33, and 36. Summerall decided to retire from commentating after the Super Bowl in 36. But of course, not before his famous call of Adam Vinatieri's field goal in the Super Bowl 2002. Here comes one of greater importance if he makes it. And it's right down the pipe. Adam Vinatieri. No time on the clock, and the Patriots have won Super Bowl 36. Unbelievable. So Summerall called 11 Super Bowls on TV play-by-play, which was matched by Al Michaels in 2022. However, Fox did not let it go. Summerall was lured back into the booth. So they didn't know what to do. Summerall would be partnered with Brian Baldinger because Madden left to go to Monday Night Football for ABC, and Joe Buck was the #1 guy for Fox now. Anyway, Summerall would cover a lot of Dallas Cowboys games, including the game against Seattle in which Emmitt Smith broke Walter Payton's career running record. Summerall would retire following the 2002 season, but in 2006 he was a substitute for Kenny Albert because he was doing other things, and then he would be with Bollinger for one game between the Bears and the Niners. But Summerall came back in 2007 for 3 years being the Cotton Bowl's announcer for Fox, play-by-play guy, which was amazing. He would partner with Brian Bollinger for the first 3, and then the last one with Daryl Johnston. Yeah. He would do a lot of voiceovers for the NFL Network and actually provided game commentary for the Golden Tee Golf video game series. Summerall would actually broadcast for ESPN in 2004, substituting for Mike Patrick, who was recovering from heart surgery. So anyway, he had a lot of events and all of that going through. He was actually a commercial spokesperson for True Value, which was weird because his partner, John Madden, was spokesperson for Ace, which was the main competitor. Summerall would be part of the Madden football series from 1992 to 2002. So if you remember games in the 1990s, playing Madden like I do for Madden 99 for the PS and the PC, you knew his commentary. Summerall actually was part of a Simpsons episode called Sunday Cruddy Sunday. You know, the episode which Homer befriends Wally Kogan, gets a cast of Springfield men to go to the Super Bowl. And of course, they can't get in because of fake tickets. Summerall and Madden do commentary throughout the episode and all that, which was pretty impressive. It was a pretty good cameo and all that. I liked it. He was married to Sherry Summerall, having 3 children and 10 grandchildren, and was a Christian. He recovered from alcoholism by saying, "My thirst for alcohol was replaced by a thirst for knowledge about faith in God. I began reading the Bible regularly at the Betty Ford Treatment Center, and it was a part of my daily life." So he actually had to be hospitalized with a bleeding ulcer. Was out for a while. Vern Lundquist would substitute for Pat Summerall, and Jack Buck was added in. Summerall went through a liver transplant as a recovering alcoholic. He went through cataract surgery and hip replacement, all that. Well, Summerall actually checked into a hospital in Dallas for surgery on a broken hip, but died of cardiac arrest at age 82, April 2013. It was just shocking and all of that about Summerall and all of that. But yeah, Pat Summerall not only could commentate on the NFL, he actually played in the NFL. So why bother shitting on the guy? He's an icon for all to see. And John Madden, who recently died, can attest that, boom, they were just the perfect partnership. And Fox, top the hill over NBC, ABC, and CBS that way. Anyhow, I'm Jeff Diamond, a dude.